Hi, this is A New Nigeria with Wale Oluwade. This is your current affairs program where we critically examine the strategic issues that bedevil Nigeria's developmental aspirations and boldly offer simple, bold, but audacious ideas on building the Nigeria of our collective desires. On today's episode of the program, I have a guest with whom we shall be examining two major issues. One is the ongoing fiasco between the Super Eagles and the Libyan Football Association. And then, importantly, my guest a few weeks ago had mooted the idea of the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, convening a national youth summit as part of his recommendations to Mr. President. He had said it on this platform as one of his 5 recommendations. Just 3 weeks after that, the president did come out in his October 1st broadcast to announce that he would indeed be convening a 1-month-long National Youth Summit. So I felt who best to come and give context or scope and the broad objectives of what such a National Youth Summit, would entail, and that's why we're having this conversation today. I'm sure it promises to be interesting. So please stick around with me. We'll take this short break, and when I come back, we'll get right into the conversation. Welcome back. My guest today is the former Minister for Youth and Sports, Honorable Barrister Solomon Dalong. Good afternoon, Comrade Minister.
Thank you very much for this opportunity once again.
It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
It's mine too.
Before we get into it, let's remind our viewers, on this same platform, about a month ago, the last time you were here, I'd asked you that I didn't want us to spend the entire time lamenting on the state of our dear nation. And I'd asked you to give me 5 recommendations. Interestingly, the 4th of those recommendations, I want the viewers to remember to see it again. Watch this.
Number 4, the president needs to hold a national youth summit.
Okay.
Which he himself personally is not going there as a guest of honor. He must be involved.
Why?
He must be involved to talk to the young people.
Why?
And listen to them. Because there is already, you see, a disparity.
A dichotomy.
Thank you very much. A dichotomy between his generation and the younger people. And the younger people are frustrated, and they are already they have tagged his generation as the people who don't like them.
Okay, comrade, from what you just watched now, I was stunned. Well, maybe I should say that. Because sometimes, in the media we think government officials do not listen to what we do, or maybe they don't watch or they don't listen. But I was stunned on the October 1st broadcast of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He did mention that he was going to convene a National Youth Summit. How did that come to you? Which is exactly what you recommended.
Yes, well, I would have to commend the government for that. Okay. Because, it's long overdue. There is tension in the land, and the youth population are the victims. Because their views, their hope of a future appears to have been liquidated. So when you hold a national youth conference or a summit where the youth are credibly chosen, you don't need to politicize it, because you are talking about the future. You're talking about those who are going to hand over this country to, and you need to share with them your vision of the future and reassure them of the hope they should have in the country. Because as it is now, a larger population of the Nigerian youth have lost hope, faith, and confidence in the nation. That explains why you have a large population migrating across the Sahara and the Mediterranean, dying in numbers, looking for greener pastures, where we have even a thick vegetation of greener pasture here. So the president's 1st October speech, to my mind, at least give some hope to the young people. When he engages them objectively, he will hear their voices louder.
Brilliant. Why I reached out to you, comrade, in addition to this proposed youth summit, we'll still get to talk about the issue of the fiasco, the embarrassing situation between our Super Eagles and the Libyan Football Federation. We'll get back to that shortly, but a lot of people, have said this proposed National Youth Summit or conference is just a diversionary tactic, because I'm sure you'd agree with me, Comrade Minister, there's a lot of trust deficit between our youth population and the elite class, you politicians particularly. I know you're still a politician. Before I ask you to give me, because you are the initiator of this idea that government has taken up and decided to make it a program. You are the one who initiated it. But before I ask you to give me, what are the broad themes? How do you think it should go and work? But respond in 1 or 2 minutes to skeptics who believe the government is just trying to, buy the conscience of our youth.
Even if it is maybe a diversionary tactic, it is going to expose the sincerity of the purpose in government's approach with the youth. Because the opportunity given to youth to gather and discuss their future. They're not going to discuss the government of today. They're going to express their feelings, their dreams of Nigeria, which they want to see. And this is going to be solely their own responsibility. Because for us, how long are we going to be here? So whether the government is using it as a diversionary tactics, it is going to work against the government because it has happened in the past. Abacha, when Abacha came in, there was tension like we were having now. The country was facing the resistance of June 12th. There was confusion everywhere. The political class were in the trenches. The youth were in the trenches. Everywhere. So the government was looking for a way out. To have some space to be able to deal with the issues. And the most potent of all the forces against the government were the youth population. And so an attempt to reach out to the youth, their expression was that of frustration because they've lost hope in what was democracy, because government was promising democracy, military government for so many years, and it was not coming. So democracy looked like the coming of Jesus Christ. And the youth were saying, no, we have lost hope in this country. So they were engaged. I was part of the delegation that attended a conference held in Abuja for 1 week, known as the Youth in the 21st Century, organized in 1995. Five delegates were selected from each state. And the military was very honest. They got credible youth leaders to come over. Despite their divergent opinions, despite their criticism of the government, I was a major critic of the military government, but I was a delegate. And they did that across the country. So we assembled. Those of us who were in the trenches, we found ourselves assembling.
But sorry, comrade, what was the outcome of that? Was it implemented?
And
why are we back? We have come full circle to where we are.
It was responsible for some of the major reforms.
Such as?
But the Constitutional Conference, organized by Abacha, and the review. That constitution is one of the best constitutions for Nigeria.
Another critic or criticism of this is your baby. I want Nigerians to know that you brought this to national limelight, and the president, has taken it and is running with it. So Nigerians should hold you accountable. That's why I'm bringing you here to speak to Nigerians. Another criticism of this national summit that you have proposed, Comrade Minister, is that it is going to be a waste. It's going to end up a jamboree. And you know why? Because there are standard approaches to addressing youth grievances. Number one, education. I mean, look at what is going on with the students' loan scheme. Is that adequate? Is it reaching to the targeted audience? Number two, healthcare, but especially jobs. You talked about Nigerian youths, migrating in their millions out of Nigeria, not even through legal routes, going through the Sahara deserts, dying in their hundreds, if not thousands, perishing in the Mediterranean Sea, trying to cross over to this same Libya and all those kind of places. But beyond that, those who remain here, comrade, what are they engaged in? If it's not Yahoo, otherwise called advanced fee fraud, then it is ritual killing. If it's not ritual killing, then it is all sorts, cultism, rampaging everywhere. So another criticism, major criticism, which I also want to lend my voice to, is that it is going to be a jamboree, because if government invests heavily in MSMEs, create jobs, we're producing millions of youth graduates every year. They're not getting jobs. When they finish NYC, no jobs for them. What do you say to this? Before we now get to you, giving us how the template will work. Respond to this, comrade.
You see that the president is able to pick one of the recommendations I made on this platform, and is now running away with it. Is evidence that the president is not fully brief about the situation in the country.
You've always said that from the beginning.
I kept saying this
you've been saying that.
because of my depth of experience with the cabalic nature of our presidential system. So, yes, politicians will try to hijack it. They will try to demystify it. They will try to demarket it. But if they assemble young people, these problems which you have enumerated, we have been shouting with it, and it earned us the type of name and hatred from government. So, it's an enemy of the government because of we have been more Catholic than the Pope. We are crying more than the bereaved. Now, they are going to hear the cries from bereaved persons. So, it's now not going to be an issue of, Solomon Dalong hates any faces in government. Because the sound and the volume of the torrent of resistance about some of the policies of government, they are going to hear it very, very loud. Even if they assembled hypocrites, they will still raise these issues because it's a youth demographic crisis. They will have to. So the government will now understand that, even though we wanted to use this as a smoke screen, obviously we will not contend with the smoke. So it is either we deal with the reality or we prepare for a tsunami. Because after the conference, if government continue to misbehave and neglect the youth population, they will deal with a tsunami. There will be a youth tsunami because the youth cannot continue with this frustration.
Pardon my turn of phrase, saying from the horse's mouth, but you are the proponent of this idea. Can you explain to us, how do you see it working? When you conceived of it, how in your mind did you see it playing out?
I'm an intellectual, even though Nigerians hardly concede that to me because
because of politics. Politics took you away from the ivory tower. So
no, the toxic nature of my mouth.
No, I don't think so. It's politics. I have to remind my viewers all the time that you are a lecturer at the university, and you are not just a lecturer teaching any kind of funny. You are teaching law. You are an intellectual in your own right. So, comrade, when you conceived of this, can you explain
international law,
not just
So it's the toxicity of my mouth that has earned me so much enmity. But let me come back to what you have said. You see, the first thing government should do is to establish what we call the National Youth Summit Secretariat.
Okay.
That's the first step. Now, the choice of people to be assembled should cut across should be a reflection, a sectorial reflection of the thematic issues to be discussed. So you get experts into the secretariat to form a secretariat. Now, in the secretariat, they're now going to design a template. And This template should include the tenure. First, the tenure of
The president said 1 month duration for
yeah,
this.
the tenure of the conference.
Okay.
That should be endorsed.
Okay.
That should be conveyed to the secretariat
Okay.
by the president in writing.
Okay.
So the secretariat,
Terms of reference.
yeah,
also from the president.
the terms of reference will be sent. So I'm suggesting now to the presidency. So when they establish the secretariat, the terms of reference. Now the terms of reference will contain the tenure.
Yeah.
Now the procedure of selection of delegates, their number, procedure. Are you going to leave the procedure to be decided by the summit? Accommodation, the welfare.
Because they'll be convening from every.
Yeah,
now, sorry, comrade, are you basing the selection of or delegates from zones or regions or states?
Now, the government,
considering the paucity of finances,
yes,
I'm just thinking.
The paucity of finance.
And to make it a manageable size.
The government, but you are looking at the demography involved.
To capture a wider.
Yes. So
wider
it's about, you are dealing with about 65% of the population.
Exactly.
And so there is not too much that is worthy of.
Maybe we should actually go 774 local governments.
Very good.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay.
There's 774,
Okay.
each one from each local government.
Okay.
Then
Special groups.
Yeah, one from each local government. Then you go to special groups. And these special groups will involve
People's disability.
people with disabilities.
Professional bodies.
You have their number. So if you have up to 1,000 people, it's not too much. Even if the government of Nigeria is going to borrow money to invest on this, it's an investment that will redefine the future of this country. It's a legacy that whosoever the president will be remembered for. There should be no issue about how to fund it. Government should go full brass to raise funds for it. Then the president should guarantee the autonomy of debate there. As young people, their method of communication may not be too palatable.
Absolutely.
Because they are react to the issues. When you assemble them, they are going to react to the issues. So they're not talking to you. They are reacting to the
Don't
issue.
take it personal.
No.
Just take it that they are just discussing
they are reacting
usual
to their pains
absolutely.
and frustration.
Absolutely.
So they should be allowed, in fact, allowing them to
vent. Exactly.
That is the first therapy.
Exactly.
Allowing the youth to, ventilate their minds is the first therapy that government is going to achieve. So, with this format as terms of reference, the secretariat should also be given some leverage for other residual issues.
Such as?
That will arise in terms of their organization.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these residual powers should also be subject to approval of the president. So that this is a future of a generation.
Reporting line, who does this secretariat report to? And then secondly, what budget estimates are we looking at for this?
The president should receive the report directly. Abacha related with us directly.
Are you sure the office of the SGF
am coming.
would not want to hijack
I
this?
am, just allow me.
Okay.
You see, the president wants to maintain a communication line.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is a generational gap between him and this.
Not just a generational gap, administration gap, leadership gap, governance gap.
There are gaps.
So it's not just social gaps, everything.
So
a
he
big
can
chasm
only
between them,
bridge this by direct contact. The president should relate with these young people as his children and grandchildren.
So the secretariat should have direct access.
Look, whosoever is the chairman of the secretariat should brief the president directly.
Brilliant.
And I'm going to refer you to what Abacha came to the opening ceremony. And there was an opening dinner. That was the first time I had a handshake with Abacha.
Wow.
He came to the dinner. We were socializing together, dancing. They participated. That was one of the political therapy that doused the youth tension.
Agitation at that time
against that government. Because we had an opportunity to meet with him. So the impression created about Abacha was completely extinguished. I mean, because this was somebody who came, the head of state, we were seeing him as a monster. But we danced together.
He was mingling freely with the youth.
Let me tell you something that happened. There was a professor who was championing protests against Abacha. I met him at the dinner. So I asked him, I said, Prof. There was Abacha there. I asked him, I said, Prof, what is the social implication of bringing us? Because we were, the opening dinner was at Transcorp.
Wow.
So I asked him, what is the social implication of bringing us here? Abacha was standing with J. Chuseni. So the professor asked me, what do you mean? I said, after exposing us to this type of enjoyment, don't you think that we will strive to return here? And they all laugh about it. But the professor, after this question, left because he was a revolutionary thinker. Wow. He left because he didn't see this aspect
of Abacha.
No, of this, the implication of bringing us to that high level. I mean, Transcorp to receive the youth and exposing us to all sort of enjoyment. So he immediately left. And when I asked him the following day, he said, no, I hit him below the belt. I mean, with all his intellectual prowess, he couldn't see this part. They would have suggested another different place for receiving us.
Okay, brilliant. Comrade Minister, we're running behind time, but we'll take this short break. When I come back, you'll wrap up on this, then we'll now go to the issue of the debacle between our Super Eagles and the Libyan Football Federation. We'll take this short break, and when we return, we'll wrap up with the conversation. Please, stay with us. Welcome back. Comrade Minister, so your final thoughts on this. I get it now. I have a clearer picture before we started, and I'm sure the presidency is listening, and I'm sure they get even though I'm sure they have their own plans. But let me ask you, have you been contacted on this? Officially?
No.
In any case, you have your contacts in your man, the chief of staff, is your very good friend.
Yeah.
Mr. Nuru Ibadu.
All of them.
Even though you call them cabal and all of that.
No. They only inherited the names and they are behaving like the same. So I just have to call them who they are for now. But they are my very good friends.
Exactly.
They are so busy that we have not been able to establish contact. Wow. But I think whenever they are less busy, they may reach out.
For the sake, I always tell you, you are a patriot. For the sake of the nation, I would advise, comrade, reach out to them. You've been a minister for youth and sports. I mean, you're also given this background with your experience with the Abacha government in 1995. I'm sure you'll be an invaluable resource person, for whatever it is they're cooking on this National Youth Summit. Any other thing you want to add? Just less than a minute?
Reaching out to them will be a very impossible task because it is the responsibility of government to reach out to citizens, to invite them if they will want to give their own contribution. That's why it's called a government. But if I go there knocking their door, they will all service their cameras and say, oh, he has come looking for us. And, I'm such a person that will be the last thing I will do.
But I'm sure they're listening. I'm sure they'll reach out to you. Okay, comrade, let's go to your forte, your area of your last assignment, national assignment, Ministry of Youth and Sports. You are, aren't you embarrassed about this ongoing saga with our NFF, Nigerian Football Federation, and the Libyan Football Federation? What's going on? I'm sure you have your information. What's going on?
No, I wasn't.
Continental embarrassment. What's going on?
No, I wasn't embarrassed.
Why?
I expected it.
No, you can't say that.
No, I wasn't embarrassed.
Why? Why would you say that?
If somebody plans to be disgraced and wore torn clothes to the market square, anyway, he cannot turn around to cry foul that he was embarrassed. You see, it is the peak of the collapse of Nigerian foreign policy. So it is anticipated.
So this is beyond football now?
No, it's beyond football.
Wow.
Nigerians should expect more of this in other areas. I will not be surprised that one day at an international airport elsewhere in the world, they could just come and announce, oh, who are the Nigerians here? And they will just round them up from there, take them and lock them up.
Why?
Our
We are
foreign...
the giants of Africa.
Yeah, no. We are not. We are now the dwarf of Africa. Our foreign policy has collapsed.
Are you sure you've not gotten other passports, maybe from
No,
America?
I am a proud holder of the green passport.
So why
and
are you saying
I
we
will
are the
die
dwarf?
with it.
Why are you saying we are the dwarf of Africa?
No, we are. We are. This that happened could never have happened to any giant. Not even contemplated. But you see, why did I say that our foreign policy has collapsed? If you look at the quality of the foreign policy of Nigeria, process it and assess it alongside other nations, we cannot be claiming to be giant. As I'm talking to you, all our missions all over has no substantive ambassadors.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
Wow.
And the manner with which the ambassadors were recalled, it was so strange to the diplomatic mission. You don't just wake up and recall all your ambassadors, all.
And not that you had replacements
No.
waiting to be sent to those
Now,
missions.
the charge in charge you have do not have the status of ambassadors. So their powers is limited by their status. They are just like pace holders.
Office managers.
Yes, they don't have the power guaranteed by Vienna Convention to act on behalf of Nigeria. They don't have letters of credence. So, for us to have recalled all our ambassadors, including even career ambassadors, all were recalled.
How does this now tie into this
No,
Libyan debacle?
that is the beginning of this diplomatic calamity befalling Nigerians. I mean, you knew there was a time the president was in Saudi Arabia, a Nigerian was cleared and allowed to travel to Saudi Arabia while the president was there. At the airport, he was bundled and locked up. There was no ambassador. So who could intervene? Which giant behaved in this manner? Auction all his armory to his enemies and declare war the following day. It's not done anywhere. So what happened to us is the collapse of Nigerian foreign policy. Secondly, because all smaller countries of the world have no regard for Nigeria. And that's why even Libya could afford to do what it did. If Nigeria were Nigeria, if Nigeria sneezes, the world catch cough.
Comrade, I want you to speak especially to the risk, the risk our players and the officials faced. I listened to the pilots of the aircraft that flew them and took them and brought them back. You know, he said they had begun, descent into Benghazi when they were told to divert to Labrak airport. Not even an airport, it's not a standard airport. And then he told them, I don't even have, sufficient fuel. They said, no, it's from a higher authority. And they insisted. He said 8 times. 8 times. He told them there's a great risk. And this is a war-torn zone. Can you speak to this?
Who is the higher authority? Because in Libya, there are 2 higher authorities. This area we're talking about is controlled by a rebel general. 2 months ago, he rolled out his tanks and attacked some part of Tripoli. This is where we have accepted to go and play. If you are now invited to go and play in Sambisa Forest, and then you went, suddenly you are now trying to blame Borno State government or the Federal Republic of Nigeria. How? Why did you in the first place accept it? Who is the higher authority that you dealt with in terms of discussing arrangement for
logistics
arrangement for the match? Who? Now, you may tell me that, oh, there was the Libyan Football Federation, because I heard somebody had resigned.
Yes,
the president of the Football Federation.
Libyan Football Federation.
Yes. Now, this tells you the internal intrigues at play. And in any case, what happened is even not strange to sports. Sabotage is part of sports. It has happened to Nigeria before.
What's, in 1 minute or so, because my producers are telling me we need to wrap up, what's the way out? Because the match was meant to have held last night. The match didn't hold. So have we lost the points, or are we going to be awarded the points? What do you think? 1 minute.
The manner with which even CAF has managed
addressed this whole
has
issue.
managed it so far, indicated how biased they are. It happened in Nigeria. I mean, this is just international sports. They are capitalizing on the fact that Nigeria is a very weak country. It has weak, everything is weak.
So what do you think should be the next step? What should we do, or what should Nigerian government do?
And Nigeria, at the end of the day, is going to be the loser. I'll just stop here.
You think so?
Nigeria is going to be the loser in all this.
Wow. I pray not.
There will not even be sufficient apologies. If not, Nigeria should take the step of pulling out from the competition, because this is just it will happen in other matches. Other smaller countries are going to do worse than this. So the only way is Nigeria to send out a threat of withdrawing from the competition. This is when this is Nigeria speaking. But the way we are now on a blame game, Nigeria is going to be embarrassed furthermore than this, and Nigerians are going to be suffer more than it.
I pray not, Comrade Minister.
No, don't pray more, but work more on avoiding it.
Let's hope for the best. Anyway,
I am a positive person.
We're totally out of time. Let me thank you for coming as usual. We'll watch out for the president whenever they are ready to convene this National Youth Summit. You know, maybe by then they would have contacted you, and then we'll come back again and review the modalities.
Even if they do not contact me, I will pray
we'll come
for
and
them.
discuss
I will
it
keep
again. Exactly.
praying for them for a successful summit.
Comrade Minister, nice for having you.
It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, that's the end of the interview today. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I always say, change requires action. Positive change requires positive action. Please follow me on my various social media handles. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can watch this particular episode and all the other episodes that are there. My YouTube, my TikTok, and my Hex handles. Also, we would like to have your sponsorship, you know, to keep this program on air, and perhaps advertisements, even not for, direct sponsorship advertisements. You know, it costs a lot to keep this program going, and it's one of those beneficial programs to the Nigerian public. Thank you once again for investing your time with me. My name remains Olawale Oluwade, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.